Back over to Cora Henderson. Jim sent us an email. He owns a home and recently got married and moved into a new home. The original home has now been rented. Jim's wondering, since he filed for homestead on his original home, can his wife file for homestead, the new wife, file for homestead on the new home? I also spoke to Will, thank you, Will, who also listens to our show over at PVA. So, Cora, do you have a clue as to what the answer is? I know this is out of your normal boundaries.
Yes. So, and I want to make the distinction between Kentucky and Indiana, because I know you serve both areas, and certainly we probably have listeners in both areas. So, homestead means something totally different in Kentucky and Indiana. So in Indiana, your homestead exemption on your taxes, it's for your primary residence. You can only have one. So you would have to relinquish on another property to place it on a new property. And those are the types of questions that we ask during closings for Indiana property. And the savings is quite substantial on the homestead exemption. In Kentucky, the eligibility for the homestead exemption is in relation to your age. So you're only allowed to file for the homestead exemption on your property taxes in Kentucky if you are of the age of 65 or older. So the year that you turn 65, you are eligible to apply for that. You can even do it online. We have a form that we can send you, but it's very easily accessible to apply for that. But unfortunately, the savings isn't as substantial as Indiana. So instead of going in half on the property taxes, it's going to give you a reduction. And I think unless they've changed
25%.
I think it's actually 38,500.
Oh,
38,500.
Okay.
So one of the things I would love to see in the future is to see that increased in light of our amazing property values going up and up. You know, we need to see something a little bit, higher to give our aging loved ones a break there. We deserve it when we reach 65, right? And so, getting back to your caller's question, and congratulations on the marriage, by the way, we definitely would want to ask, is this Kentucky or is this Indiana? And then follow those rules appropriately. So Indiana, he'd need to relinquish and then, place that on the property, since that'll be his new primary residence, irrespective of what his age is. And if it's in Kentucky, then, of course, if he's over the age of 65, he will have to apply for that on his new property. Or if his wife has already secured that, he wouldn't need to, because you've already got the 38.5 or whatever it is these days off of that on the property tax bill when it comes out.
I think based on when I talked to Will, though, he over at PVA, he says, really, you can only have one property with getting that exemption.
That is correct.
And so in Kentucky, and he says, and there are a lot of people who have homes in Florida and they have an exemption down there. He says, be advised, they call cross state, the individual property valuation, and they'll check to see if you've got an exemption on your home here back and forth. So
absolutely.
Don't try to
I'm not sure, if it is Kentucky, if his wife has it on the home they're living in now, can he keep it on his existing home that he's moved out of?
Yeah, it's above my pay grade. You're going to have to call PVA.
Me too.
Ask for Will.
Call Will.
Yes, Brad. Brad's got something.
Cora, I got a follow-up question. If the house is in joint ownership, do both parties have to be 65 in order to claim that?
My understanding is just one.
Just one.
That's what I understand as well. Yeah.
Okay.
How about
That's
that?
good to know.
Yeah. Good. There you go.
Only our fine folks down in our government offices there and the taxing authorities will be able to fully verify and grant that. Unfortunately, we don't have the magic wand to do that. But
That's true.
Okay.